We will get started. Thank you, Jamie Burkhardt. Yeah, hey, this is Erica Hatfield, Convention of State Director, and we have a lot to talk about tonight because yesterday was our Texas Legislative Day for 2023. And but before we get started on that, Jonathan, would you like to give an update, national update, if there is any? Because I know you were not, you were flying home.
What's going on nationally? I have no idea. So not too much really that I can report because, as Erica pointed out, I was traveling home today. But I do know that today we had a rally in Iowa that Senator Rick Santorum and Rick Green were at. I haven't heard yet as to how that went, but I know that we were doing everything we could to get as many people there. In fact, some of you may actually know. I asked them to leave you alone and not have you make telepatriot phone calls on behalf of that rally because we had our own going on yesterday. But some of the other past states were helping making phone calls to try and get people to the rally. So once I find out more information on that, I'll share it with you, and hopefully they had a great turnout there. The New York team also had a Capitol surge today. So hopefully things went well there in New York. I think we talked about this last week. I don't remember, but you may recall that last week in Kansas, I think this time last week we had passed on the second reading, and we were kind of waiting on the third reading. And I think I told you that there was a chance that even though we passed, we may not actually see it as a pass state. And I found out some more information. In fact, if you were there yesterday, you heard a little bit from Mark directly as to what went on there in Kansas on Wednesday. And after we passed second reading, we passed again by the same margins on the third reading, which in any other state and under any other circumstance, that would make Kansas the 20th state to pass the COS resolution. However, after Roe versus Wade, I believe one of the justices on the court, was it one of the justices? No, I think maybe it was a doctor that was in the case of for Roe. I forget exactly the specifics, but he was from Kansas and had a lot of pull there, and they made a rule there in the legislature that any Article 5 resolutions that come up for a vote would require 2/3 of the vote in either the House or the Senate in order for the resolution to pass. Now that's adding an extra requirement to the call for an Article 5 convention that's not in the Constitution, and therefore that is unconstitutional. So we are going to now try and take legal action and fight this in the courts because it is an unconstitutional rule. So from our perspective, we look at Kansas as a past state, but there's still some work to be done behind the scenes. But hopefully we will be successful in our court fights, and I think we have some pretty good grounds here and a pretty good case. I don't know a lot of more details beyond that, but hopefully I'll be able to provide y'all with more information on Kansas as we go. And I think that's about it as far as a national update. I'll also mention that I think I may have shared this previously, but I'm not sure. Steve Dace is our confirmed guest for the next COS home webinar. We just don't have a confirmed date yet. You may be aware that Steve, if you follow Steve, he's got a movie that's coming out. We actually promoted it in one of our weekly brief emails over the weekend, and it was juxtaposed with a heartwarming and religious message from David Barton to legislators. And Steve Dace's movie is about demonic possession. So perhaps not the best juxtaposition on our part, but nevertheless, because he's got that movie coming out, we haven't been able to secure a date yet. But as soon as we have a date, we'll let you know. And I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with Steve again. He's one of our better endorsers. So that's it. Erica, unless you have any specific questions, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. So Mike Defendahl, would you like to give your thoughts on what happened yesterday? Any updates that you'd like to provide? Mike,
Yeah,
definitely.
I was just trying to find the right button. There it goes. Okay. One thing I do want to talk about before we talk about the what happened yesterday, there is some other COS related with non-COS legislation I want to talk about, and that's SB 175, the banning of taxpayer funded lobbying. So we do have some new co-sponsors in the Senate for Senator Middleton's bill. Senators Betancourt, Creighton, Hall, Paxton, Schwertner, and Springer are all signed on as co-sponsors, co-authors for Senate Bill 175, the banning of taxpayer funded lobbying. It still uh, hasn't got on the intent calendar or any other signs that it's getting to the Senate floor yet, but it's getting more co-authors, and so that's a good sign in the Senate anyway. Of course, still haven't heard anything on the House counterpart to that, but that's where we stand on the other legislative things that we're talking about. But since you turned it over to me, I'm going to take the opportunity to continue with what I said yesterday. At the end of the day, going into the day, I will admit I had a opinion that 52 that we came out of the Senate might be the best we gonna get, just based off just my reading of the tea leaves. My opinion changed just hearing what was going on and hearing the words straight out of Senator Birdwell's mouth. What I heard was get him a full bill for a full repeal out of the House, and then he'll take care of it. So he pretty much was putting the gauntlet down on our side and says, you deliver it, I'll take care of the other side. So that's the challenge that I'm going to pass on all of you is we have to deliver the House on House Resolution 35, Cody Fasad bill, and get that fully passed out of through the Senate State Affairs, through the House State Affairs, through the House floor, get it over to the Senate, and then he'll do the rest of the work. And so I think it's a fair trade. So we got work to do, but he's willing to do his part if we do ours.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
Other than that, the offices I went to, it was kind of a 50-50 mix of supporters and non-supporters as far as the legislature went to. We did go to two of the other authors of 35, and that was good. And we didn't meet with any senior legislative staff, with the exception of Representative Guerin's office. The ledge director came out and talked to us. We had one of representative's constituents there, and that he had conversations with the legislative director. So that was good that she had come out. Everybody was polite and friendly, just like we are, and that's a good way to be, even with people who walking in aren't going to be on your side. You can never assume that they won't. One of the offices we visited was Representative King. You know, by party affiliation, a Democrat, but we don't care. Representative King backed us back in 2017, and I point blank said, "Hey, your boss asked for this to be done in 2017. They want to undo his work. Let's keep it going." And so that's the message that I asked them to do to their boss, and we'll see how that works.
Great, awesome. All right, I've got a couple of things. Let me share my screen. And first of all, we didn't get to this slide yesterday, but basically I wanted to share this with you. I can't remember who created this. I think something like oil and gas or whatever, but it's in Texas how laws are made. So I wanted to show this to you because I wanted to show you where HJR 35, which is the House resolution to remove the sunset clause, And then we also have SJR 36, which is the Senate side of the removal of the sunset clause. And then we have SJR 52, which is the extension. And so we have those three, and I wanted to kind of share with you. So for those of you that aren't quite familiar, a bill or a resolution can start either in the House or it can start in the Senate, right? And right now we have HJR 52 sitting here like waiting to be heard. It's on the runway, right? It's on the runway, and it's fueling up. And when I say it's fueling up, that means we're trying to get co-signers to sign on to HJR 35, which is the removal of the sunset clause. So it has not been heard yet. On the other end, the extension, the Senate has already taken it all the way through the process and has kicked it over back to the House. And right now it's sitting in the House on the runway waiting. And but it is halfway through the entire process, meaning it's already gone through the Senate. So that is the extension. And then we've got 35, 36 is just sitting here. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So we have one of the two that will pass, and they're both in the House. So that would be the extension or the complete removal. So let's take a look at those two. Let's see here. I pulled up SJR 52, which is the extension. And right now we just have Birdwell, Betancourt that signed on to it. We're not pushing it really. We're just letting it sit. Cody Vasut told me today he is working on getting himself assigned to it, because if no one is assigned to it, or if no, that means anybody can pick it up. And if anybody can pick it up, that means that they can start giving it wings and it'll start flying through the House. And really, we want 35 to get the wings, right? We want the removal to be pushed through. So Cody's going to try to put his name on this so that nobody else picks it up and starts pushing it, is kind of what I'm saying. So that's the extension. And then the removal is fueling up. And what I mean by that is it's getting a lot of co-authors. So we've got 25 right now. And with yesterday's push, I think we're going to see some more names being added. And we also spoke with, so right now, like I said, it's fueling up, but the next step would be that the committee, the State Affairs Committee in the House, would need to put it on there to hear it, basically. And to hear it, we need the House Committee, State Affairs Committee chair to put it on the calendar. And so we spoke with him yesterday, we being Jonathan, myself, Mark Meckler, who else was in the room? Jonathan, I can't remember, but there was like five or six of us in there. And so we started talking with the legislative director, and all of a sudden he pops out and very cheerful, very, warm and accepting, and said that he's for convention of states. However, he believes that the 52, which is the extension, is the easier path. If you guys remember the last few state calls that we've had, Mike Defendahl always said they're always going to take the easier path. They're always going to take the easier path. And so this is the 52, which is the extension, is the easier path for them. And in his mind, he's got a lot of bills that he has to take care of, a lot of stuff coming through the State Affairs Committee. And this one is already taken care of, has already gone through the Senate. And so in his mind, this is the easier path. This is the one that, would go through easier for him. But he said he supports this one, which is HJR 35 as well, but he's not 100% sure if his committee feels the same way. So what we need to do is make sure that committee, and we have been the last several weeks, our Capitol Brigade has been working the committee. But that's kind of where we're at with these resolutions. I hope I made sense, but does anybody have any questions? Did I mention anything incorrectly to all the smart ones out there that know things better than me?
No.
Oh, good. Okay. Ron's giggling. I like that. So with that being said, great job yesterday. What I do want to do is go through an exercise giving feedback. But before we do, I see a hand raised. Tom, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I heard you right. Was Representative Hunter, was he in the meeting?
Yes.
And so he indicated support for both,
Yes.
but it was his director that indicated that thought they'd have an easier time of it with
No, he did.
52.
He was the one who indicated it
Oh,
would
he
be
did? Okay.
easier. He envisions 52 is going to be the easier one to push through, and he's probably right. But
Sure.
Vasut, for he's the one who is carrying 52, which has all these authors on it. He still wants to push that. He's very passionate. He thinks we can get it through. And just like we heard, Birdwell said, if you can get 35 pushed through the House, the Senate will take care of it. He will
And
make sure the Senate takes care of it.
and did he need anything else from us? I mean, is there anything he wanted us to try to push,
Just
influence?
getting his committee members to get on the same page as he is. So we need to help with the committee members. So do we want to go look at the committee members? Would that be helpful?
Good idea.
All right, I typed in TLO Texas, so the first link that comes up says capital.texas.gov, so I know I'm on the right link. And we're going to go to the House, Texas House up here. Down here is Texas Senate, but we're going to go to the House committees. I'm going to click on committees. And then from there, we're going to the State Affairs Committee. And here you go. So Hunter is the chair, Vice Chair Ana Hernandez, and then the members, Anchia, Dean, Guerin, Gulen, Metcalf, Raymond, Slauson, Smithy, Spiller, Thompson, and Turner.
So, Erica, when you're looking at the bill,
Yeah.
when it says what committee it's in, you can click on the committee name and it'll take you to that same page.
Okay. I didn't want to steer away from this page in case we had to get back to it. But yes, it's down here. Down here for 36. So we can go back and look at the whip count and kind of figure that out, which ones are authors or which ones, are for it. I'll let you guys do that exercise. And but you can go and look here. Let's see. conventionstates.com/TX-sunset. Oh my. And if you scroll down here, you can give Paula a clap because Paula's the one that's keeping this up to date. Here she put down who is State Affairs on the far right column here, or the second to the, I don't know. You guys can figure that out. It says here author. It's either author or she puts the, are they in the State Affairs Committee? But you have to scroll down to the House. And so, for example, Matt Schaefer, Jay Dean, State Affairs Committee, gave us a verbal yes recently. Scroll down, State Affairs Committee, Metcalf gave us a verbal yes. Scroll down, State Affairs Committee, Hunter is a yes. Raymond, he hasn't co-sponsored yet. That was a rumor. So we need to kind of update. You can put in there in parentheses if you want to, Paula, rumor. I can't remember where that came from. I think it came from Vasut, who's told us that he's considering being a co-sponsor, or not co-sponsor, but a co-author. Let's see here. State Affairs. Shelby Slauson, we still need to get her. She's been very quiet. But I think Cody said he could get her on board. State Affairs, verbal yes. David Spiller gave us a verbal yes already. Let's see here. State Affairs, John Smithy, we don't know yet. And I don't know if we have any other state affairs in here. So, oh, state calendar. So maybe, oh, Garen, yes. So we don't know if Garen is, I mean, I don't want to assume, but we can kind of assume that he will be a yes. So I'm going to answer some questions. Keith?
Yeah, I was just wanting to comment on the whip count in the committee. It seems like to me that John Smithy and Charles Guerin are the two that we need to concentrate on. We apparently haven't heard anything of a positive nature from any one of those, and I wondered if anybody on the call happened to have any connection with either one of those.
I'll have
Hey,
to get back.
Keith.
Go ahead.
So Representative Garen was the one I visited yesterday, and that was the one where the ledge director came out and talked to us. So yeah, that was a very positive sounding conversation. I mean, she didn't come out and say, yeah, he's all over, but she sounded like he's very with us.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, that is good to hear. Has anybody talked to Smithy?
So
I've tried.
So I know
I've
that
tried to call.
I know that Dawn has a list of all the feedback that we received. I haven't seen it yet, so we're going to get that report. Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that was pretty much my question, and my admonition is this: we need to get in touch with Smithy and try to find somebody that knows him and can talk to him heart to heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I'm reading the numbers right, with Smithy and Garen's, we've got enough votes to get that out of committee.
Yeah, and we probably need to tell Todd Hunter as well that we believe we have enough votes.
Yeah.
Sheila. I was so glad to see you both.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day. So thank you for putting all that together. And so we had originally planned and been approved for a 11:30 meeting with Giovanni Capriglio. Yeah. We've had several different challenges getting a hold of him, but he agreed to 15 minutes yesterday. And so it was myself, Tony, and another member from House District 98. And we asked him to co-author the bill, and he agreed.
Oh, good. Love it.
So it was
Wonderful.
like first time face to face with him. And yeah, it was like not even he didn't even hesitate.
Oh, good. Love to hear that.
So yeah, we've had him as a verbal support, but now I'm waiting to see his name appear on the co-authors.
Okay.
Well, does somebody need to advise Cody that he's willing, and let Cody maybe follow up?
I'll text him. Or Henry, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Is he on? I only see Richard, I think. Oh, I do see. I see you, Henry. You want to be that person, or do you want me to do it? You're on mute, Henry.
What was it you was talking about? What do you want me to look at? I'm looking up stuff. We have visited Smithy's office, and I was trying to look up my notes on that.
Oh, okay.
So
They were okay. So Sheila was saying that Capriglione is going to co-author.
Oh, okay.
But his name is not on there yet, and so we just want to let the suits know. We want to let the suit know so that he can remind Capriglione for, hey, glad you told Sheila Davidson that, you're going to co-author. I haven't seen your name on it yet, kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. I'll get with Cody and tell him about it. There's
Okay.
also another one that we were informed that Ellen Troxclair was supposed to have been signed on also.
Okay.
So
You
there's a
can
couple of them
remind
that
him.
are missing on the TLO right now that
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've signed on. It just hasn't made it to the
Signed on, me and co-op.
the administrative
Co-author,
deal
yes.
yet.
Yeah.
Does it?
Sign
Yeah,
on.
the TLO administrator.
So Henry, you think you have visited with Smithy?
Yes, I have. Well, not with him, with the staff, with his office staff, and the people there. We haven't gotten a definite yes out of them, but we have talked to them. I can't remember I'm trying to find all of the stuff here, but anyways, it was we had talked to the staff members and we left them some information on it regarding, I think this was early on. We left them a pocket guide and that, and talked to their staff about it, and they were supposed to get with him and find out, let him, have them get back with Cody and see what they were going to come up with. Was encouraging them to support it and co-author it.
Yeah.
Erica, do we know if anybody had Smithy on the list yesterday to go by and visit with him yesterday?
I don't know. Tom, you had the list of the leaders and who they had.
It was on Henry's list.
It was on Henry's list. Okay. Which is why he was saying that he had his notes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else in regards to updates? Good job, Sheila. That's awesome. Yay. That's great.
Amen.
And Carol Aldridge isn't on, but she was super happy to hear that her representative plans on signing on, and that's a Democrat. Her name is Plessa, Plesa, and she was super excited to talk to Carol and said absolutely. And so we'll see how that pans out if she doesn't get talked down by her colleagues. Go ahead, Tom.
I have more on that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I chatted with Carol about that. I wouldn't say she's all on board yet, but she has an open mind, and she is concerned about being the first Democrat to sign on. And but she knows she's in a purple district, and so she's trying to take some conservative stance on things because she knows her district and that she needs to. So the suggestion there was she made a comment, but Carol couldn't remember if she actually said who, but she made a comment that she's buddies with some of the co-sponsors. And so she suggested that co-sponsors that we know, we should ask them if they're a buddy of Representative Plesa. And then if they are, that they start first with trying to educate them on what convention of states is and why it's a benefit, so that they're hearing it from them as well. And then ask her to co-author. But she thought that would be their good approach, is if for the ones, and this is probably really for Henry, so I hope you're listening now, Henry, and some of the Capitol Brigade where they have good relationships with some of those co-authors, to talk to them about asking Representative Plesa, or asking if they have a good relationship with Representative Plesa. And we can do that with Frank Frazier, because we met with him for about 45 minutes, and he's a co-author, and he's a really strong supporter. Anyway, so that it was really encouraging though, because she, she went into the proverbial lion's den, and it just proves that we can't make any assumptions about who's going to support us or who won't.
Yeah, and what I'll do, Cody has actually kind of told us about some interesting things about how votes and stuff take place there on the floor, and some of it has to do with the groupings, the way they're sitting in the there on the House floor. They're grouped in cliques, I guess you could call it. But
Yeah.
that's what he was saying, that if he can get one out of that clique to go along with them, that usually the others are like sheep, they'll follow.
Hey, one
So
other comment, Henry, on that is Carol she didn't have the packet when she first met with her, so she was getting on the elevator to go back to Mahala's office, and she ran into Cody and Mahala in the elevator.
At the same
And
time.
and
That's awesome.
Representative Plaza like grabbed Carol's arm and went, "I was just talking to this lady about Convention Estates." So there's been some contact there already, just through pure chance on the elevator between the three of them. And Carol's going to follow up every week with her.
That's awesome.
good. Okay.
Darren has
You might even be able to approach Cody on that too. Maybe he'll know who's got the relationships there.
Right. And that's why I was talking about that on the
Oh
earlier.
yeah.
He has he's kind of knows how the different people interact on the House floor and that. And so that's something that he looks at to try to figure out who to get on board. And then in turn, if he gets them on board, some of the others in that same group will get on board with it.
Darren, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so our meeting with Reggie Smith yesterday got hijacked because he's on the Public Health Committee that was hearing the circus that was going on yesterday. So we talked to his legislative director, et cetera, but we got a phone call back this morning from him and had the opportunity to actually tell him what we were there for and why. And he said he had the information and he would do whatever he could do to make sure that we could get the sunset clause removed. So I'm taking that as a very positive yes. But knowing Reggie, we still need our Capitol Brigade to continue to massage him because he's kind of slippery at times. So unfortunately.
Keith, you have your hand raised.
A couple of points. Number one, when we were visiting with Cole Hefner yesterday, he reminded everybody just how busy they are with all the bills that are there. So persistence is going to be the key to victory here. We've just got to keep our presence in front of the people that we think are supporters. I wanted to compliment whoever was responsible, and I think it was probably Tom, for putting that packet together that we used in the offices yesterday. That's a great tool for us to use as we continue to visit with legislators. And it wouldn't hurt for them to get that packet 2 or 3 times if we have to do that, just to make sure that they get the real message of what HJR 35 and SJ 36 are all about.
Good word. I think so too. We can thank all, it was a bunch of us that put that together, but the main one that was explaining the various bills, the red, white, blue one, that came from Lucy Meckler or Lucy Vanderlaan. She wrote that up, and that was a really good 1-pager. So, but the original idea came from the Capitol Brigade. They said, we just need a 1-pager. We just need a 1-pager. And Lucy was there on that day. She said, I'll write it up. So, anyways, Bill, you're quiet. I'm so glad to see you on. Would you give us some of your wisdom? What are your thoughts in general?
Well,
You
I don't have anything to add to this specific conversation, so I'm glad to be back. I caught up with some of the folks here in Harris County this past weekend, and just trying to get back in the fight, build what we've always kind of talked about. I'm 100 strong in my district. I can get it. I'm pretty sure it'll take some time, but and then kind of shore up some of the neighboring districts. So yeah, I am surprised not to see my rep on here. He is a supporter. I'm glad to see Betancourt. He's my senator, is signed on too. So
Betancourt had, I don't know if you saw the video of Betancourt. When it went through the Senate hearing and JBS got up and said their words and he just shot them down immediately. Did you see that?
I did not.
It's a good video.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a local meeting after election here in Harris County, and I was a bit upset, as many of us were. Well, certainly if you're in Harris County, you were. And I let Paul have it because we've had majorities in both houses for 20 years, and so don't be pointing the finger at other reasons why we're in the shambles we are. So he let me have it. It wasn't very mean. We chat with each other, but anyway, I'll work. I just texted Tom and hoping to hear back from him shortly. I texted him yesterday. We're celebrating a Patriot here in Harris County in a couple weeks, and I asked to get one of the flags that we fly at the Capitol. They give them out as gifts. So Tom responded right away yesterday, but not on the COS one. So anyway, I digress.
Well, I was thinking maybe you might have some wisdom from 2017.
No, it's too new then. I mean, we're doing all the right things, right? I mean, we got a lot more people down in the Capitol. I've always challenged myself on, how can we, if we can't get a Democrat in Texas to sign on, we're not going to get a Democrat anywhere in the country to sign on. And I challenge myself with that all the time. I honestly believe that even if I'm not aligned, if I was in a Democrat House or Senate district, I may not agree often with their policies, but what I certainly would agree to is them making decisions here locally. You know what I mean? So I think, trying to build that rapport with a rep that you might not be aligned with, politically, but I darn sure would rather have them make the decision here locally so I can talk to them, where I can't do that in DC. But I was curious. We didn't have the answer on Saturday. I asked that on Saturday. Alice and Jamie weren't sure, so I guess I heard the answer tonight. We might have one or two willing.
I did create a list of, or I didn't. Ren, our intern who was there yesterday as well. She created a list of all the Democrats that support convention states around the nation. And I created a page, and I was just now looking for it, and I can't find it. I can't remember if I started. Jonathan, you might know what it is. I can't remember if I made it a Texas page or if I made it just a general national page. Do you know, Jonathan? Can you help me out there?
I think it was a Texas page, Erica. I remember seeing it.
Yeah. It's like TX Democrat supporters or something.
I'm looking for it. Hold on.
Anyways,
I can't remember where it's at either, but I got some copies of it. You asked me to give a copy of that to Cody Vasut, and I got it, copied it off of the Neil and got it to him.
Good. I think there's I don't know. I think Ren said yesterday there's over, is it like 20 in Alabama Democrats that signed on to it or something. So it's a good tool. Yeah, like you said, print it out and we can try, right?
I don't have many where I live, but I have plenty in Harris County. I don't live in the center, so.
Okay, so I wanted to go through a quick exercise for yesterday. Start, stop, continue. I don't know if you guys have heard of anything like that, but I wanted feedback, verbal feedback from you guys. So start means something new to consider for the next legislative day. Stop means whatever we did yesterday, it did not work at all. Or continue, hey, this really worked. We really liked it, and we need to continue doing it. So does anybody want to give it a whirl? Start. raise your hand, let me know, and I'll fill it in. Not for sure Edna would give some feedback. Keith, go ahead.
I'll stick my neck out.
I
don't
love
like,
feedback.
I
So
don't like,
go ahead, sorry.
okay, I don't like pizza lunches. I like a sit down lunch. And if we can work that into the program, I would love it.
Okay. Just so that y'all know, lunches are not provided by National. So if we do a sit down lunch, that would be Capitol Grill. Our fear was, or not, I hate to use the word fear, but if we let everybody go off to do their own lunch, that they wouldn't gather back to go office to office. And so we're going to have to kind of think something through. Bring your own lunch, and we're going to sit together in a room, or something like that.
Yeah, and I think sitting us all together in one room, if we're going to do what we did yesterday, you can facilitate the crowd better that way than what it got facilitated yesterday, Erica.
Yeah.
My humble opinion.
Okay. I love your humble opinion, and keep providing the feedback. Jonathan, you have your hand raised.
I think the biggest downside on lunch was that it was late. That was the only downside. And I know that was nothing that we could necessarily control about that. But I know that people were having to go back inside because they had meetings and everything like that before the pizzas arrived. So that was a bit of a bummer. But perhaps organizing it a little better, I don't know, might be something that we could do. Takeaways during the presentation. I would love to get the legislators to be a little bit more prompt, so that this way we're not sitting there juggling that, right? But of course, we're at their mercy there. I think I would recommend not doing the presentation in the future or condensing it. I'm just not sure that it fit in what we were trying to do yesterday. I think most people kind of knew convention of states, so we didn't need to go through the presentation. However, what Al did at the end and talking about his why was really impactful. And I think that we should do more of that, sharing why people are involved with convention of states, why they're there. There was a woman who, I forget what her name was, but her husband has been involved, and he roped her into coming to Austin yesterday. And she approached me and Mark and Al while we were standing outside waiting for the pizzas. And she said to Mark that she absolutely loved everything that he was saying, but it was Al's speech that really inspired her and really got to her. And I think that's important. When they hear why everyday people are sacrificing so much, that inspires them to do more. So I think that was really, really well done.
Awesome. I love that feedback.
That was Russ's wife.
Sheila, you have your hand raised?
Let's see. So one thing that we were observing, I think it would have been good, and I don't know how the logistics all went, but it would have been helpful for us to know who we were going to visit in advance.
Okay.
So that we just would have a little bit of intel on kind of who they are. And I'm happy to help with that. And so I don't know how it was determined who was going to go to whom, but that would just be one suggestion that we would come up with.
Okay. Good word. Anything else?
No.
Edna did give the feedback, introduce the leaders to the groups, the individual groups. This was the first time that that I know of since I've been with, Texas COS. This is the first time that we split up into groups to go do visits. Last time from my memory, we just, we handed out papers and said, go, go visit whoever you think. And I don't think that we even had a list of people, just go visit your own representatives and senators. And so not everybody got touched. And so this, this was kind of a new thing with the logistics. So, but I agree with you. Tom, you have your hand raised. Your space bar will unmute you. But you have to hold it down.
Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So one thing I think that would help in the future is if we, as part of the planning, we assign people specific responsibilities, both in preparation and for the legislative day, and we publicize that. And we kind of review that on a weekly basis as we're leading up to legislative day. And I'll have a number of kind of recommendations along that side that I'll write up for you. But I think we had some things where sometimes people were double or triple tasked for something during legislative day, and then they ended up dropping a ball somewhere else because they couldn't be in 3 places at one time. So I think that would be very helpful. I asked the team leads to all send me feedback on how that whole process went of visiting legislators, just that whole process around visiting legislators. And I've gotten some feedback already from some people that I think will be really useful. And I'll just kind of pull it together for you.
Okay, I'll send you this when I'm done, and then you can we can review it next week, all of it together.
Some of it are things people already mentioned, but there are some other good ideas in there too. Like one good idea was it'd be good if when they had the list of their offices that they were going to visit and the legislators, if it also identified the city or county, major cities or counties that were in that district, to help people orient themselves, so they'd have like talking points to go in and say, hey, I'm from this county, or I don't live there now, but I grew up there, or I have relatives there, just so you could relate to the staff or to the legislator. I thought that was a really good idea too.
That's good, because that did come up when we went to go visit Todd Hunter. He said he went to KU and I went to KU. So he was like all excited about that. For me, I just like, why does anybody care? But him, it was important. So, we were doing Rock Chalk Jayhawk, in his office. So yeah, that's a good point. Real good point. Mike, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. So on the continue, definitely continue having the groups going out. Yeah, yes, do give more notice on who's going, but definitely continue with the groups, because I think I had several people who hadn't had any experience going to these offices, and while we didn't meet with any legislators, they found out that these people, they're just regular people, and you can just talk to them like people. And I actually had one of the team guys kind of met up with one of the staffers that he had met earlier and gave him a this is COS speech. And they became very comfortable with, hey, I can now go into the district office and establish these relationships with these people.
Love it. Henry?
Yeah, one of the comments that I think I would kind of put some emphasis on is having some kind of a person timing everybody, like when they're speaking, and that say, okay, you've got 5 minutes or 7 minutes, or give them an allotment of time. And then we need to stick to that schedule, because some of it kind of drags on, and it ends up at the end, it puts a squeeze on the speakers and that towards the end of the deal. And I feel like it would be in all the speakers, fair to all speakers, and that give everybody, give them their allotment of time, let them know up front and says, okay, we'll give you, how would you like to come talk? And you give 5 or 7 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you negotiate these things out with these speakers if you have to, but, try to have a time allotment and stick to it, because when you don't do that, we end up running late, and now I feel like that's what happened here. We end up getting rushed towards the end.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Everybody is loose and lax at the beginning, and then at the end, it's all tight and crammed down and, in a hurry.
Yeah, agree. Anything else?
You could also
Well-
have a volunteer track the time. So that's a great suggestion, Henry. You can have somebody like with a little card that they hold up, when the time's up.
Yeah. And as far as going, like with the people that we're going to have speaking, if we have this all planned out, we can say, okay, we've got, 10 or 15 minutes for you. We've got 5 or 7 minutes for you, and whatever the situation is, that way they'll have an idea of it. And if they need more time, they can say, speak up at the very beginning. Like say with Cody, he's one of the one of our mains. I would feel like should have been one of our main speakers, as well as Senator Birdwell. And so we can say, okay, we need to give these guys at least X amount of time to speak.
Yeah.
And then like other speakers, you can say, okay, we'll give you 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever time allotment we could have.
Great word. Yeah, agreed. Keith, you have your hand raised. We've got 4 minutes left. Talking about time.
Okay, yes, start earlier. I don't know why we decided to start as late as we did, but I think when people make a trip like this, they expect to have their time utilized effectively, and I think starting early allows them the opportunity to do that a little more effectively.
Yeah.
Again, just my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think the reason we started late was because there was a tour that was going on. And I think that tour ran a little late, and that's why there was a big group of people on the tour that came in after 10. So we wanted to kind of give them some time to get back. So if we're going to set up a tour like that in the future, maybe we do that after the main presentation or something like that.
Yeah, so that was I think it was like 25 people that were on that tour, and it was a fantastic tour, and we should definitely provide that to folks, but we'll definitely schedule it for afterwards. Agreed.
Yeah, it was supposed to finish early.
Yeah, that's all right.
They were supposed to be there at about 9:45, but
All good. It all went well. So, there's always something that can change, always something that we can get better at. But I heard a lot of positive feedback yesterday, and everybody did good, did great, actually. We had how many sign up? I think it was 297 people sign up. Did anybody do a count of how many were in that room? Or
We actually had 313 people register. And I want to say we had between 120 and 130 people there. So
120, you said?
Yeah, I think it was between 120, 130. Maybe the people that were signing people in might have an exact number, but
Okay.
that was my
I
count.
thought I heard from the desk it was 150. But
Oh, okay. 150. I'll take it.
All right.
I'd love to see that number larger. And I think, Erica, you made a great point yesterday when we were in the rotunda as we were breaking up. We all saw how crazy the other group that was there was yesterday, but they had 400 people signed up to testify against that bill. And it makes an impact when you have a huge group of people there. I think our people had more of an impact because of how respectful we were. And that we came from all over the state, but we definitely want to have bigger numbers there. And I think we can definitely do that in the future. We did everything we could with this one. I still think that we could do even better next time to bring more. But I do want to note, and Erica, you were just talking about it. If you think about where we were 2 years ago, and we weren't even set up in the auditorium, we were outside because of all the COVID restrictions. And I think we had about 100 people that gathered there outside, maybe even a little less than that.
I would have guessed
We've made
70.
some 70,
I think it was between 70 and 80. Yeah.
70 and 80. Okay. So, we've almost doubled that number, or have doubled that number. So we're making great progress. And I was really, really happy with how the day turned out. And I think we could do even better next time.
Agreed. All righty, you guys, it's 8 o'clock. It's time to jump on that national call. Love y'all. Thank you so much for what you do, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Aye.